Howdy everyone, this is LockNutz, and you're watching an early access map tour of Rennebu by OlaHaldor. Hopefully you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, 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 how are you guys doing today? Or maybe, hi allesammans. Well, at least I hope that's right. Howdy guys, how are you doing? Today we get to go on an early access map tour of Rennebu by OlaHaldor. You betcha this one is a long time coming, that is for darn sure. Ooh. Oh man, super cool map. This map is based off of the Rennebu area in Norway. And when I say Rennebu area in Norway, let's take a look at the map really quick so you know what I'm talking about. Wait a minute, that's not the map. Hold on a second. All right, there we go. There's the map we're looking at. As you guys can see, the map is based off of an actual location. Pretty darn slick, if you do say so myself. Now, this map is pretty darn cool. It's a relatively, well, in detail. Very detailed map here we got going on. Currently, the way things are set up right now, the map is only about 417 megabytes to download. But there's also a building pack that comes along with it. And trust me, you're going to want to look at the building pack because it's absolutely phenomenal. That is about 250. So you're looking at right around 666 megabytes to download to get all this stuff. But like I said, it's definitely well worth it. So this map here is definitely slick, laid out very neat. I love it. It's super cool. It really is cool. And you do have all these plots of land that are purchasable. Now, I purchased a couple here so we can get ourselves going and start looking at some of this stuff. But as you can see, guys, you have lots and lots of plots all over the place. Prices really aren't bad either. You have some relatively lower price things, some relatively higher price things. For the most part, these field sizes aren't too bad. You do see where there's a couple of these that are grouped together. Otherwise, the plots are just really small. Now, one of the things you may or may not know is Ola, he goes ahead and he streams on Twitch. He's been streaming how he's been making the map, and it's been pretty neat. He's been saying how some of these locations, the fields, he actually went and combined. Because let's say this one right here, this field 73, this in reality is like 4 fields all together, and it's kind of odd shaped. So he just made a little adjustments here and there. To kind of tweak some of the stuff to make it look right. But for the most part here, guys, you have lots of areas, lots of forestry in here as well. It's going to be super cool. Very cool. Let's get on out of here for just 1 second because there's a story behind this. There is a story behind this. See, now Ola, he's from Norway himself, which is where this map is from. Pretty darn slick. Very convenient, if you do say so myself. And he actually grew up right in this valley. Pretty darn slick. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't believe it's this house. It could be, and I could be wrong, but it's super slick because he's taken the time to create or recreate his childhood. And it's very beautiful, very scenic. It's absolutely incredible. Get out of the way here. Now, one of the things that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to wander around here on the map to kind of give you guys a little bit of a tour of what's going on around here. With that being said, there are going to be some places that are slightly barren, if you will. It looks like potentially, I don't know, there's something there. Well, the reality of the situation is that Ola is still in the process of modding the map, modding the buildings, and doing little bits and pieces and tweaking things from here and there. So it's not 100% finished yet. So instead of having oddly shaped placeholders out here, just random white boxes essentially, He's gone ahead and taken the time to delete them so it doesn't distract you guys, or myself, because I get distracted very easily, of the beauty of the landscape. It's really, really neat. Now, let's start off by looking at this. We are currently up here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short little ride up across the river, come on back down over here, take a look at some of this stuff, and then we're going to start traveling down this way. Now, I'm not sure how far we're going to be able to get because, you know, I mean, I got my finger up against the screen here of my PC, and it's only from here to here, about one thumb length away. So one thumb length, that can't take too long, right? We'll see about that. We'll definitely see about that. One of the things I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the map up in the corner of the screen so you guys can kind of follow along with me. Now, this particular map is Ola's first attempt at map making. So far, not too surprised. Pretty darn neat on some of the little bits and pieces and details. Now, if you've had the opportunity to watch some of his streams, you've seen some of the labor-intensive process that he's gone through to create a lot of these buildings, the scenery, even all of this. It's accurate to life. If you were to actually go into Rennebu, you would actually be able to see all these buildings, all these trees, all of this stuff. I mean, this is what you would end up seeing. It's very, very neat on how it was done. Let's hop on over here really quick. And just to be able to go ahead and see the river, looking across there. Oh man, it's super, super neat. Super, super neat. I should get my vehicle out of the ditch right there. And let's continue on round about the road here. Now, eventually here, once we kind of get up and around the bridge, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. I'm going to drive not on the roads anymore. Actually, we're not even going to wait. We're going to drive over here like this. I feel like going ahead and driving on the fields. One, it bothers a whole heck of a lot of people. Sorry. But it also goes and... I'm not going to drive back. It also gives you an opportunity to really see the bumps and nicks and grooves of the landscape. Ooh, boy, I'm getting out of the way. Like the waterfall up there. Super cool. Super, super cool. And actually, let's come up here for just 1 second. You go ahead, you can see the water flowing down there. Looks like it was very, very well done. I'm pretty impressed by that. Look at this. Just, here you go. You got a field. Tucked up. Up here, just where it can go ahead and fit. Ah, cool. Super, super cool. And that's one of the things that you're going to notice as you go about on this little tour with me, is the fact that you are able to see all these very neat locations. I'm not going to lie. Living here in the U.S., I've heard stories from my grandfather. Now, my grandfather, he's getting up there in age. And it's been great to hear the stories that he has been able to tell me about his grandfather. His grandfather came from Norway himself. So for me, without having my ability to travel overseas and go wherever the heck I want to go, this is pretty neat for me. This is as close as I'll probably get for some time to have an opportunity to come and see what Norway looks like. That's just me. That's just me. Now, all of the buildings on here are part of the building pack. And what actually ended up happening to get all these buildings on here. These are the actual buildings. Well, it's not the actual building, but these are the actual buildings that you're going to find in Readyview. Reason for that is because instead of using a lot of the buildings that are available to us here on the game, Ola decided he was going to make all of them himself to accurately reflect the area, accurately reflect his childhood and his memories. Not too shabby. So what he ended up doing is flying a drone up into the air, taking pictures of all these things, talking to the people from back home, talking to his neighbors. Some of those are long friends. Some of them are people that he's known for some time. Some of them are kids of people that he's known. But he's taken the time to ask these people about, hey, you know, you mind if I fly a drone over? You mind if I take a look at some of the stuff that you have going on here so that I can accurately depict our home? That's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Now, here is one of the selling points that's here on the game. This is one of them. It's the Joker. You betcha, the Joker. And from what I understand, looking at the pictures that Ola has, this is very, very close to being accurate. I'd say accurate. You go to Rennebu, the area, and you'll actually go ahead and find this place. You can stop at Joker, or however that's pronounced. I'm just going to say Joker. Silly American. Oh, boy. And it is really kind of neat. It really is kind of neat. Now, myself... Oh, my gosh. Going the wrong way here. Now, myself, I have not had the ability to go ahead and make my own make my own map. But having the opportunity to follow Ola on his journey, being able to watch the process that he's taken, the process of building the map up, looking at the buildings, watching fields come to life, it's very, very neat. It is very, very neat. Oh, little church there, little cemetery. Son of a gun. How about that? Now this bridge right here, I think if I remember correctly, this is only a walking bridge, but I won't tell anybody if you don't that I just drove across that. So I do apologize, but that is the case. Now driving around out here, it really does kind of give you a little bit of a sense of the vastness of this. It's taken me a little bit of time just to get all the way over to here. Now, from what I know and a little bit of research that I've done, oh my goodness, in these Scandinavian countries that do have more of the, well, I don't want to say fjord because that's not quite right, but the valley landscape that you're seeing. You got the steep hills on either side, you got these low flatlands. This is exactly what you find in farming communities, in farming areas in this general region. The reason for that is because you have the low ground where the floodwaters have come and reseeded, and the minerals that have come washed down from the mountainsides. This is where they all gather in this flat little basin. And what ends up happening, that's rich, fertile land. Now, you can't necessarily go ahead and farm up on top of the mountainsides. You can if you really want to, but that's not where the best crops are. That's not where the best soil is. So you go ahead and you go down to the valley, and that's where you go ahead and you do your farming. You'll find that if you just go ahead and Google Norway. Let's just do that. That's a good place to start. And look at all the little valleys, and you see all these little farming communities. And you gotta watch out, you're gonna lose your teeth if you go down there. Too funny. And like I said, you do have these open patches there. By the time the map comes out, you're gonna be able to see what that actually looks like, what the buildings look like right there. But for right now, they're just not there. So you gotta kind of use your imagination. Now, this area here is one of your larger sections of fields, and it is pretty darn neat. Kind of low, bumpy hills. It's not terrible, it's not too bad. But like I was just saying about the valleys, this is kind of where the wash is. This is where everything's settled out, and this is where farming has begun. So it's just a matter of, really anywhere that you go throughout the world, you farm where you can farm, and you live where you can live. You don't farm where you can't farm. It's just the reality of the situation. Now here is another one of those examples of a pretty darn neat little setup here that Ola has. And this will be a part of the Buildings of Norway pack that I would suggest you go ahead and get for this. But this is pretty darn neat right here. You come over here, and right here, this is actually a dump point for your silo. Now, I don't think, if I remember correctly, Ola had access to this to see what the inside looks like. With time, that'll get updated and we'll be able to see. that's where it comes in, and this over here is where it comes out. Pretty darn slick. Pretty darn slick. Same thing over here. Maybe I get those two backwards. You have your hay loft right here, so this is where you get your hay from the hay loft. And where do you put the hay, you might be asking yourself? Well, you just drive up around here. Right there. It gets placed right up in the hay loft, right where it should be. Darn tootin'. You gotta like that. Gotta like that. Gotta love the custom houses. I love the fact that you got the old forgotten ladder up on top of the roof. Now, when Ola was flying his drone over there, that was there. That ladder was on top of that house, and as you can see by the rain spots and maybe even a little bit of rust on there, that ladder's been there for a while, and you know what? It got put right onto the building, because that's how it is. Pretty darn slick, I would say so. Let's hop back into our vehicle and keep ourselves going. Now, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here. A good chunk of the reason for that is because this is going to take a while to drive across the map. I had some grand ideas in what I'd like to be able to do here, be able to see, but I do realize that there are limitations by how long all this can actually take. Now, one other stop that I definitely want to hit on before we really start cruising around quite a bit here is the grain mill. Now, this is an actual grain mill. This is exactly how the building looks. It's pretty darn neat. You come on down here, though. This is what I find to be very neat. You come on down over here, and this area right here, you don't see it, but back in here, underneath the building, that's where your pallets of flour actually spawns. So if you decide to go ahead and buy this area for your milling purposes, that's where your stuff's going to end up. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Now, there are a couple locations, if I remember correctly, that Ola actually did take some liberties, I guess, with some of the locations. Now, I don't think that one's one of them. I think the grain mill is actually there. Or a mill of types is actually there. Like some of the fuel stations. The fuel stations on the map here don't exist anymore. Now, this is one of the things that we're not going to worry about. That's going to get its bugs worked out a little later on, but get out of the way here. I'm driving on the wrong side of the road, or maybe going the wrong way here. But one of the things that ended up happening is that I guess some of the fuel stations, petrol stations, whatever it is that you want to call it, got shut down and moved away. Well, that's not how they looked when Ola was younger. So what Ola actually ended up doing is he recreated the areas where the fuel stations were, and that's where you're going to be able to go ahead and buy your fuel. Now, I'm probably getting yelled at because this is probably a one-way and I'm going the wrong way. I don't know. Oh, man, but I'm just thinking to myself, with this being such a large map, and how these roads are kind of windy and running on like this, I'm actually going to jump off here for a second. Ooh, my gosh, that's a little rough and wild. It's going to take us a long time to go ahead, especially if I'm going 60, 70 miles an hour right now. It's going to take us an incredibly long period of time driving from point A to point B in your tractors, especially if you got a little 19 mile per hour bad mamma jamma running around, rocking and rolling, doing its things. But I think one of the things that people are going to want to look at doing here is getting themselves a low loader to run around from point A to point B. I think that just might not be a bad investment on this map. That, or possibly looking at getting some bigger, faster tractors. Now, I know not everybody likes to play like that, and I get that. But at some time, it might be an option. I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you. Pretty cool here. I just wanted to come down here and take a look at the water, watching it run down over here, watching it splash up against the rocks. Oh, man, you can almost feel it. Oh, boy. I tell you what, this is actually pretty darn slick. I'm enjoying this quite a bit, to be honest with you. Let's get this thing back rocking and rolling. We're getting close to about where the store is. I think the store is on the other side of the main river, though. So we'll kind of have to play this one by ear. Before this is all said and done, I want to go ahead and take one of the winding roads up. You see, you've been noticing them. You got some winding roads over there, winding roads right there. Back off that way. We're going to have to go ahead and check some of that stuff out, because I really want to get up there and take a look and just kind of show you guys the... Well, what the heck with it. Let's go up there. Let's go up there. Let's take one more farm right about in here. There we go. And like a lot of these farms right here, a lot of these farms, a lot of these buildings, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool just like that. You come around here, you take a look at all these buildings, it really is super cool. Like, I remember Ola talking about this particular house. You have these windows, you have this layout of this deck or porch, whatever you want to call this. You have your double door. You have all of these windows on this house right here. And it's pretty darn neat. It really is pretty darn neat. Now, one of the things I want to take just a quick second and look at here, just to kind of show you, is one of the things that Ola has done with, well, let's say, the farmhouse. Got all these farmhouses right here. That land is not owned by us, but one of the really cool things that we can go about doing here, let's see, is that it? Nope. Let's go right there. You have all these other options to go out here. And here, this is what I was looking for right here. You have the option to change the colors of all of these houses. Let's go like this so you can see it. You have the option to change the color. Now, it's not on every last one of them, but you do have a pretty nice... there we go, that was it. It gives you a pretty nice opportunity to go ahead and even customize things a little bit farther than what we're normally used to doing. Pretty darn cool, I think. You know, instead of us going ahead and having several houses that are the same thing with just different colors, gave us an option to go ahead and actually change the way the houses actually are, or the way they look. And that's part of that that pack that we have. The Buildings of Norway. It's pretty darn neat. Now, like I said, I want to take and drive up here because myself personally, I remember seeing this particular style of fields that are just kind of up in the hills and all sorts of stuff like that. It's just kind of neat to have that opportunity to go ahead and just see all of this up here. You have that lower level. Here's a nice another little spot. Flat land. Flat land. There's an opportunity to go ahead and farm as long as there's some flat land. Throw some seed down in the ground. Cultivate and do everything that you got to do to make everything work out for you. But we're going to keep on going up a little bit higher because I want to go ahead and show you some of these roads, especially if you're into doing some forestry. There's a lot of trees on this map. If you're doing seasons, let's just say seasons, for example. Let's cut it this way. Let's say you're doing seasons, for example. When you're doing seasons, you have an opportunity to go ahead and put your crops in the ground, and then you have a lot of downtime. If you don't have animals, what's one thing that you can go about doing? A little bit of forestry. And like I said, there may be a tree or two on this map. I don't know. I'm picking up that there's a handful of them. If you guys go ahead and invest a little bit of money into some of these plots of land, you're going to have the opportunity to make boatloads of cash on all these trees. But as you can see, some of the places where the trees are, it's not all that great to get yourself up and into. Some of them are pretty hard, like this little area we're at right here, way up here. We're actually going to go like this. There we go. And you can see right here, they have a chunk of land right there, chunk of land right there, this massive chunk of land right there. Pretty darn slick. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go like this to sell this, and I'm going to sell this one so we can come down over here and buy this chunk of land right here. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do here really quick is we're going to go ahead and run through the woods. So don't mind me. I'm going to speed myself up just a hair, and we're going to run over so we can check out our chunk of land. But let's look at this. Just look at this. This is absolutely crazy. Harvesting trees up here is going to be, well, pardon my language, but it's going to suck. It's not going to be great. Oh, my goodness. It's rough. It really is rough. You take a look at this terrain right here, and this is just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. This is kind of where I had gotten myself up towards the beginning when you guys first see me. Not necessarily in this spot, but I worked my way up the mountainside just to get this view, and it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But like I said, it's not 100% finished yet. Pardon me. I'm running through this. It's getting scary. It's getting too scary for me. Oh man, I don't even know how I'm running on this, to be honest with you guys. All right, let's slow ourselves back down and calm down, because here's the road. So you see, you do have these roads, and like that one across the way over there, it is windy. It's like this. It's back and forth. It's winding its way up wherever the heck it is it needs to go. So if you're looking at doing forestry on this map, it's definitely going to be quite the challenge. It's not going to be a piece of cake. Now, I think it'd be kind of neat to at least give it a shot. I don't know if it'd even be possible, but I think it'd be kind of neat to give it a shot, to be able to go ahead and cut down every tree on this map. I don't have 3 years of my life to go ahead and cut down all the trees, so I wouldn't recommend it, but if I were to do that, you get absolutely rich, or I'd get absolutely rich off that. It's super, super cool. Lots of nice elevation changes, lots of detail to the landscape, how things end up looking. The ground has all these different bushes, shrubs, grass that's thrown in here. Nice combination of just about everything. It really is pretty darn cool. Now, one thing I'd like to do here really quick, guys, is I'd like to take a little bit of time, fly up in the air, and kind of take a look at how this map looks like from up above, so that you guys can get a little bit better understanding or detail of the massiveness of this map. So if you guys bear with me for just 1 second, I'm going to get my wings on and get ready to fly. All right, everyone, we're going to take just a quick little second and look at the different seasons as we pass from summer to fall, jumping on over to winter. The landscape changes. It's absolutely beautiful. And then coming back on to spring, you gotta love it. You absolutely got to love it. All right, guys, so here we go. We're going to fly up into the air and just kind of get a little bit more of an aerial view. Because when we're down in the valley, you know, you see all the hills off to the side, you see the edges, you know, you'd think like back to some of the maps. Oh, that's just the landscaping. That's just the background noise that you're seeing on the map. No, that's the map. That really is the map. It isn't like what you see in a lot of other maps where you just see the very basic edge of everything. Like, oh, that's the edge of the map over there. No, no, no. That's someplace you can go. It really is pretty darn neat. Let's get ourselves back down here a little bit as we come down here. You can see there are some open spots in here. You do have lots of trees, lots of foresty looking areas. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but a lot of forestry looking flooring. The fauna looks nice on there. Super, super cool. You have the riverways that are coming down here. I believe Ola's still working on getting the streams 100% buttoned down. As of right now, there isn't much of anything set up for the different gameplay modes. So pretty much what we got right now is what we see. But from what I understand, that's pretty easy to go ahead and get set up later on. So I wouldn't worry about that too much as for starting vehicles or anything like that, new farmer mode. As of right now, there really isn't anything. So let's go ahead and wander down on over here and we'll take a look at the sawmill. And I think one thing we're going to do here really quick is once we get down over here, we're going to do a nice about face, kind of fly back up this river just to follow it along. Pretty darn neat. Pretty darn neat. Now, like I said before, I've had the opportunity to go ahead and watch and to see what Ola has cooking with all this stuff. And it's pretty darn slick. I think this might be a step in the right direction, or in the direction that I think we're going to start seeing a lot of maps. Now, just the amount of time that Ola spent on this map. From what I remember, it's been about 3 years in the making. There's been a little bit of this taken care of in FS19. If you guys remember, there were a couple people out there that did some early access tours of this map. It got converted over to 22, and here we go. Ready to rock, ready to roll. Now, the plan is to have this map out relatively soon. When I say relatively soon, I mean before summer is out. Before summer is in. See, Ola doesn't want to keep us waiting. But he also doesn't want to just throw the map out just to get it done. He doesn't want that. He wants it to be done in a way where if there are any updates done on the map, we aren't going to have a new save. Which is very, very cool and very, very thoughtful, especially when it comes to doing a lot of this stuff. There's nothing more frustrating than spending hours and hours and hours on a map just to have to lose your save because the map gets updated. So Ola's taking that into consideration. He's doing everything he can to try and make sure that that's not something we end up running into in the future. I just can't get past all how the mountain looks, you know. It's just super cool. You got the different layers of landscaping dirt up there. It really is pretty darn slick. It really is pretty darn slick. And I honestly can't wait to see how all these buildings look like when they get on here, and how everything ends up working out together. How this whole map is able to show us the story that Ola has left us. The story of him and his childhood, the story of a place he calls home. I appreciate it. The fact that he has given us the opportunity to see a little bit into the world of Rennebu. It is pretty darn slick, if I do say so myself. And, you know, sometimes I am right, sometimes I'm wrong. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Keep your eyes out onto the horizon. I will go ahead and make sure I leave a link down below on how you can go ahead and find Ola and watch him, ask questions, see what it is that you want to see. And until I have that opportunity to talk to you guys again, or until you have the opportunity to go ahead and ask questions, I gotta say it. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Thanks for stopping by. Or, takk for at du stakk innom.